Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, March 14th. So we have the moon in Taurus for the majority of the day. We are going to see that moon go void, of course, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be locking into Gemini energy at 11:16 p.m. So a little bit of a window there where the moon will be void, of course. Things get shaky, things get unstable, things get uncertain. We start questioning a lot. And of course, the whole vibe of the moon in Taurus is to be present, is to be anchored, grounded in this present moment in our physical bodies in order for us to find comfort, familiarity, really put us in a situation where we're plucking out the silver linings of our current experience and realizing what it is now that we want to build towards, what we want to create, what we want more of. So although the vibe is supposed to be pretty calm, very soothing, kind of chill here today, we are going to have a couple of pop-offs that are definitely going to disrupt that particular vibe, adding a little bit of friction, tension, agitation, if you will, in order for us to realize again where it is that some changes, some adjustments, some transformations are needing to be made. There are 9 different aspects taking place here today. 7 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon in this Taurus energy going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, in this Aries energy. I love this because it means that we're working on our self-worth. We're working on our self-esteem. We're working on our self-confidence. We're trying to build ourselves up. And of course, many of us have been down in the dumps, especially throughout this Pisces season, where we are a little bit kind of, I'm going to say, anchored into funky town, a little bit down in the dumps, a little bit depressed. And now, because we've already gotten the new moon in Pisces behind us, now we're building, now we're growing, now we're healing, now we're aligning. So of course, Chiron, being the wounded healer, being aspected in a positive way, we're seeing the growth. We're seeing the ability to build ourselves up. We're actually seeing ourselves from a different set of eyes. It's a much more favorable position, perspective, view that we are kind of taking in at this point, really focusing in on our skills, on our talents, on our strength, instead of breaking ourselves down. Now, things are going to get a little bit sticky because Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who rules over the Taurus moon that we are currently in, Venus is in Pisces energy and will semi-square, creating a little bit of tension, a little bit of conflict with Chiron shortly thereafter. So again, this is kind of like a breakdown, if you will. And of course, Venus being in this Pisces energy is definitely going through the change, the transformation in our soul space, especially looking back, kind of dissecting who and what needs to stay, needs to go. Now, we're having a little bit of an identity crisis here because, of course, Chiron is being aspected in not the nicest way, which means that there is a certain element, especially really taking a good look at our relationship dynamics. We're understanding that some people need a little bit more time, space, and distance in our lives. Again, it's very conflicting with the earlier energies. We're building ourselves up to make a change, to make a transformation. But in doing this, we're realizing some people in our lives are actually blocking us, actually holding us back, really putting us in a situation where we have to stick to the old version of self and don't feel free enough, supported enough, encouraged enough to make a change, to make a transformation. So of course, now we're at odds with ourselves, with our heart space, with what it is that we want, need, and desire. There is this element where we are craving more out of life, but that more needs us to let go of some people, places, and things in order for us to be a vibratory match to actually pursue a new path, new goal, new vision, new dream. 6 a.m. we have the moon in this Taurus energy coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener in this Taurus energy. And again, as we've been talking about, a conjunction is both an ending and a beginning. An ending of understanding where it is that we've been too rigid, we've been too stubborn, especially where resisting certain changes, certain transformations are absolutely needed. This beginning is showing us where it is because of the tension, because of the conflict, and at this point, the not so chill vibes, kind of creating some anxiety, some agitation within us, because there is a lot of energy pushing us to think about the future when realistically, the moon in Taurus wants us to be very present. The sun in Pisces wants us to reflect back on the past, and we're just feeling torn in a lot of different directions. This particular energy could very well download us with a new vision, new aha moment, new epiphany that of course is going to help us change the game, or it could just rattle our central nervous system to the point where we feel confused, we feel stuck, we feel trapped. If you find that this energy is manifesting on the latter part, that of course isn't going to feel so good, please use that as a framework on what it is that you've been resisting, what it is that you know you should be doing, and what it is that you could possibly be experimenting with in order to adopt new ways, new methods, new ways of doing things, and of course, new ideas that we could now explore and eventually start to pursue. The moon is then going to semi-square, creating a little bit of tension and conflict with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, ruler of communication in this Aries energy. So we know that a semi-square is a disagreement, an unalignment, if you will. And the moon being our heart space, Mercury being our head space, they're not on the same page. Likely because Mercury in this Aries energy has ripped the rear view mirror off of the car, essentially. We're not looking back. We don't care to. We don't even want to enjoy this present moment. We want to be thinking about what we can do now to better our future selves. And so again, the push, the pull. Mercury is thinking very futuristically, what we want to kind of, I'm going to say, bring to life, create, pursue from here. While the moon in Taurus really doesn't want to think that far ahead, definitely doesn't want that kind of pressure in our headspace that Mercury in Aries is definitely creating for us, just wants to chill out, just wants to be calm, just wants to kind of enjoy this particular vibe. And there is no soothing, no familiarity, no comfort with this particular interaction because our headspace is somewhere else. And emotionally speaking, we're just feeling a little bit rushed. We're feeling a little bit pressurized to kind of get over this present moment and to stop blocking the thought process of where it is that we want to go so that we can essentially tap into this Mercury energy and Aries energy that is very straightforward, very pressurized, very aggressive in hurrying up and figuring out what it is that we want to do. So definitely going to be some disharmony between our heart, between our head. Midday, we have the moon getting into the boxing ring with Mars. Now, this isn't going to feel fun. Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. In this Aquarius energy, so sudden bursts of excitement, inspiration, motivation, or sudden bursts of frustration, of aggravation, of total rage in some particular instances. Now, this particular energy, especially coming from Mars, this is the fuel that we're using to keep the spark, the fire, the flame lit within us. So again, if you're using excitement and passion and desire, good for you. That's a beautiful fuel. If you're using anger and frustration and agitation as a fuel, that is just as powerful. It just kind of has a totally different vibe. Now, the moon getting into the boxing ring, fighting it out with Mars is definitely going to have our panties in a bunch. There's going to be severe agitation. We're getting frustrated at nothing. Everything is a trigger. Everything is an activation. Everything is a distraction. And it's definitely messing with this calm vibe that we were hoping to actually sit in here for today. And so again, please understand that the anger, the frustration, the restlessness, the agitation, the triggers, the activations, they're all a framework to understand what it is that we are done with, what it is that we've outgrown, where it is that we are building, cultivating a new passion, a new desire to actually push ourselves forward in advance on this new path towards this new goal, this new vision, this new dream. So as stubborn as we are in this Taurus energy, there is a little bit of a jolt coming into our central nervous system to kind of say, okay, Everything can't be all rainbows and butterflies. We can't just, deem that we're going to be chilled out and calm and cool and collected here today. Yes, that is a very good energy to try and be disciplined in. However, there are energies trying to kind of rock the boat, so to speak, so that we understand where it is that anchoring into this present moment and really giving ourselves permission to not think about the past or not think about the future is prolonging the kind of shadow work, the kind of energy that we need to be processing, sorting through, really thinking about. Because if you wake up every day and don't make a change, then essentially nothing is going to change. And that's the anger, that's the frustration, that's the agitation that Mars is bringing full stop into this particular picture. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, discipline, willpower. And in this Pisces energy, we are definitely seeing some highs, some lows, some everything in between on really deconstructing the old realm of belief, the old idea of self, the old realm in reality. What I like about this particular energy, though, is that Saturn brings us a reality check, but it's not a harsh one because we're kind of aspecting Saturn in the most positive of ways. So Mr. Saturn's kind of saying to the moon in Taurus, like, I get it. You want to go slow. I get it. There's a lot to think about. Your to-do list is building. It's mounting. Completely understand that. You do know, though, that we have a particular realm, a reality, an element, an aspect that we do have to start building. So, if I know you're on a break, I know you're trying to be cool and calm and collected here, but we do have a job to do. So if you don't mind hurrying up this little break that you're on, we do have some business that we need to sit down, that we need to discuss. We have to figure out where it is that we're going. We have to figure out why it is that you're resisting bossing up to the roles and responsibilities that you know that is coming at you if you want a different outcome for the realm and reality that you're currently living in. So the tough love life lesson that Saturn likes to kind of drive home is being delivered in a matter-of-fact kind of way. And realistically speaking, again, because this is a positive interaction, it doesn't feel like we're getting scolded. It doesn't feel like we're getting kind of shook up with a harsh reality check. It's just kind of like, you know what? You do you have a break, you get your mind together, get in alignment. And when you're done, we do have some work to do. We do have to think about some things. We do have to tackle this to-do list. So this is kind of preparing us to boss up, but we still don't really feel the, I'm going to call it immediate pressure to do that right now, because we're still just trying to chill, get in alignment, and just kind of anchor into what feels good, what looks good, what is kind of, pulling us in a positive direction, and realizing where it is that if we continue to further resist these changes, that we're going to continue to be in the same circumstance that, technically speaking, isn't favorable for us to be sitting in long term. The moon is then going to sextile, beautiful interaction, with the sun in this Pisces energy. So we love Pisces and Taurus energy working together, because whatever it is that we're dreaming about, whatever it is that we can fantasize about, whatever it is that we can imagine and visualize in our mind's eye, in meditation, in our highest version of self, we're able to actually bring it to life, give it some kind of form, and materialize it through the Taurus energy. So anytime that we have the sun and the moon coming together in any kind of interaction, there's going to be a new emotional awareness, a new want, need, and desire, a new aha moment on what needs to be done in order for us to kind of get from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. Now, because we're on this side of the new moon in Pisces, we're kind of, I hesitate to say that we're done with shadow work, because we're not. That's still part of the Piscean thing here. But we are in the healing phase. We are in the realignment phase. We are in the building, the growth phase of this Piscean energy, which feels a lot better than the breakdown phase that we were just in prior to that new moon in Pisces. So this is a confidence builder. This is a dream builder. This is an inspiration builder. And we are becoming a little bit more aware with where it is, especially moon and Taurus, where we're going to have to get up off of our ass out of this Zen little vibe that we're trying to kind of sustain. And we're actually going to have to make some moves and do some things on our to-do list in order to build, to create, to bring to life some of these goals, these visions, these dreams. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Aries energy, is going to semi-square Mars. Okay, so Mars rules over the Aries energy that Mercury is in. And Mars being in Aquarius energy, the higher octave of our mental plane, of course, Mercury is the lower level of our mental plane. This is a semi-square, this is tension, this is conflict. Is it going to feel good? Nope, not supposed to. It's going to be tense. It's going to put us in a state where we're feeling like we have ants in our pants. We're a little bit restless, we're a little bit impatient, and we're a little bit snappy about it too. Thank you, Mercury in Aries, for being a little bit, I'm going to say, on the edge of just kind of spitting truth as it is, even if it's a little bit sassy. Again, very blunt, very to the point. And this particular energy, because this is a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict, definitely going to tap into that sassiness that many of us are definitely noticing coming forth now that Mercury has been in this Aries energy. This is a prime example where frustration is going to be the fuel added to the inner fire in order to motivate us to actually make a change. So this is, again, I want you to think of the spicy energy of Aries, the, I'm going to say rush or impatient energy of Aries. This is all pressurized in our mental plane, and we're feeling the hype to figure it out, to come up with an idea, to choose something, to decide on something, to figure something out. That's where the pressure is coming from. But of course, the Aquarius energy that Mars is in is very eccentric, very spontaneous, very unstable. So it makes us a little bit shaky, and it's making us a little bit nervous, and it's making us a little bit snappy. And let me just say that this is not a good time to really test yourself to see how much patience you have, because none of us are going to have any kind of patience under this influence. This is not a great time to have heart-to-heart conversations or important conversations of any kind, because listening skills are very poor. And even more than that, the way that we're communicating, because Mercury is in this Aries energy, whatever it is that we're saying, it's not being well received. Not only are we not listening clearly, we don't want to listen to snappiness, to sassiness. We don't want that. And our conversation is very pressurized, carries a lot of, I'm going to call it attitude with this particular transit. So we're really going to just want to step back and observe what's going on in our mood, in our attitude, in our headspace, in our heart space, in our overall central nervous system, because we're being kind of jazzed up, fueled up at this particular moment. Again, preparing us to make a major change and not to resist these changes as much as we have over the course of God knows how long. But technically speaking, with the moon in Taurus, we really haven't been open to be thinking about the past or thinking about the future. So the last aspect that we have going on here today, 6:29 p.m., the moon in Taurus is going to sextile Neptune in this Pisces energy. And again, we love this because Pisces energy and Taurus energy work so well together. There's a whole lot of spiritual growth, emotional growth, creative type of growth, and really trying to piece together a new visual on what it is that we would now like to start kind of pursuing for ourselves. And of course, this is I'm going to call it overly sensitive vibe for us to be sitting in. We're hypersensitive. We're picking up on the subtle energies. We have new visuals that we're exploring. Everything feels good. This is a pick-me-up, if you will. We're encouraging ourselves to kind of get to a point where we are capturing a visual of the goal, the vision, the path, the plan, the strategy, the ending point that we would like to see ourselves at. So this is kind of like motivating us to kind of, get our shit together, to boss up, to step out of this present moment. Let's put something into action here. Let's see what we can do when we give ourselves permission to actually start moving towards a particular goal, vision, or dream. This is when the moon goes void, of course. And we sit in that void from 6:30 p.m. to 11:16 p.m. At 11:16 p.m., we shift into Gemini energy. So the moon in Gemini energy, first of all, we're breaking out of the present moment. We're breaking out of that introvertedness that we get with the moon in Taurus. The Gemini energy, of course, is a mutable air sign, which means that we are chatty Cathys. Our minds are working at a capacity in which they haven't been working at for the last couple of days. We are curious. We have questions. We want answers. We want to kind of move out into the world, see what triggers us, what activates us with aha moments, with epiphanies that we're going to kind of hit the ground running in exploring to see whether or not this is a path, a plan, a strategy that we could adopt, that we could pursue to actually get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. So it is definitely going to be a major change in energy, in mind frame, in, I'm going to say, space, once we enter into this Gemini energy. And of course, we're moving into another moon day here on Friday, where we will have the ability to kind of get an alignment between our heart and our head. And the moon in Gemini energy is going to help us do just that.